Random J Productions presents the Palm Summer League. Today, we're here at the Auto Club Speedway in Southern California for the running of the John Deere Father's Day Classic. With a sold-out crowd on hand, 33 drivers are all lined up on pit road, ready for what should be an action-packed race worthy of a summer Hollywood blockbuster. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Josh, your commentator for today's race, and welcome to this beautiful racetrack on this beautiful Father's Day afternoon. Last time here in the Palm Summer League, we were at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway for the summer kickoff, as we saw a wild race with a wild ending, with an underdog winner taking the checkered flag, and that driver was none other than Jordan Forbes for ST Motorsports. The 61 team will start in the 12th position here today as they look to maintain the points lead, as well as to go for 2 for 2 here in the Palm Summer League. Then there's our pollster for today's race, Kyle Salmon, the 71. As he looks to not only get his first ever Random J Series win, but also to get RC Motorsports' second win here in Fontana after winning with Dan McTrain at this place during the 2021 Spring Showdown. And lastly, there's a driver many thought had the summer kickoff in the bag until coming down pit road on the final lap, and that is the 88 car of Hoodlum. The 2021 Summer Series champion will start from the 6th position here today as he hopes to get his first Random J Series win in over 2 years. Speaking of pitting, with how bumpy and abrasive this track surface is, expect tire wear and pit stops to be a major factor here today, especially if we go green all the way or get another late race caution. But before all these questions and more get answered, let's first take a look at our starting lineup here today in sunny Southern California. So on the pole, as previously mentioned, is the 71 of Kyle Salmon and Exzel Jordan Downey 11. Row 2, Kellen Baker, the Summer Series champion in the 20, and Exzel fellow Pontiac Jose Angel. Row 3, we got 2 pairs of Golf Summer Series champions, the 2022 GSS champion of Ryan Wilson and the 2021 Summer Series champion of Hoodlum. Row 4, Owen Miles and Keyshawn Richardson. Row 5, Nathan Stapleton and Daniel Rice. Row 6, Brandon Carruthers, and of course the winner from the summer kickoff, Jordan Forbes. Row 7, Chris Murray in 87, and next term Random J in the 53. Row 8, Brendan Beal in the 37, and next term Dylan Matthews in the 49. In row number 9, we got Roberto Crown in the 21, and next on the number 9 car of Lipsy. Row 10, we got Jordan Caldwell, who of course finished second to Forbes in the summer kickoff, and next on Matthew Burnett in the 44. Row 11, Johnny Hernandez in the 46, and Alex Mullen in the 1. Row 12, Caleb Rose in the 59, and next on Joe T in the 99. Row 13, Mo Parr in the 41, and Patrick Miller in the 33. Row 14, we got Dave Mateo, who won the very similar Denver Motorsports Park as well as Texas World Speedway back in the Golf Summer Series. And next up, Nick Sand, the 40. Row 15, Daniel Voiles and Trey Smith. Row 16, we got another former Texas World winner from the Golf Summer Series, Brad Reim in the 6. And next up, the 80 car, Jason Albert. And finally, row number 17, for the second straight race in a row, is the 91 of Ross McTrain starting last, after his aforementioned brother of Dan won the Spring Showdown at this very track in 2021. Taking a look at the track info here for today's race, we're going to go 30 laps on this 2-mile-long D-shaped oval with 14 degrees of banking in the corners, and as for weather here today in Fontana, 82 degrees Fahrenheit with 10 miles per hour towards the southwest. And as for other notes here today, there's 11 degrees of banking in the front stretch. And of course, as previously mentioned, this track is very, very bumpy and very, very abrasive to these Goodyear tires. And now it is time for a pre-race ceremony starting with our national anthem. And now, for the second time ever here in the Palm Summer League, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
Of course, as previously mentioned several times here in this broadcast already here today, tire wear and pit stops could possibly play a big role here in this big track. And to get more insight into this, let's dial up our reigning GSS champion. Hey Ryan, it's Josh here up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got a copy.
Hey champ, as you probably know, the track surface at this place is really bumpy and abrasive to these tires. What's the plan for you and your pit crew to manage tire wear here today?
Well, it's just going to be a very radical strategy that we have planned out for this one, Josh. I mean, it's a very tough track to be on. It's going to be a very short run. And I mean, when we ever have to do our pit stop, we will have to make it quick, be able to get out there fast, and be able to contend still.
All right, man. Good luck here today. It's pretty warm out there here in Southern California, but good luck. Hopefully you stay cool. Have some fun out there.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
It's always really cool to spend some time with these drivers before the race. But for now, it's time for these drivers to get to work as the pace truck heads down pit road with this sold-out crowd on their feet, ready to see Kyle Salmon and Jordan Stout lead the field to green here in Southern California. And already a great start for the inside lane down the front stretch as Kyle Salmon clears Stout with ease going into turn number 1, as that 11 car is going to lose second to Baker in the 20 going into turn number 2. Off for 2, Salmon's going to go to the outside in front of Stout, where Baker remains on the inside, as Wilson, the 38 car, briefly peeked his nose to the inside of the 20, as Salmon and Baker remain side by side down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. And that time by there, Salmon had a bad entrance into turn number 3, as the inside will prevail with Kellen Baker taking it away from Salmon. Coming back to the start-finish line to complete lap number 1, it will be Kellen Baker who leads this time by, as Miles will force a 3 wide on the inside as he forces Ryan in the middle, but Salmon remains on the outside. And now because of that move from Miles, Salmon's going to lose even more ground into turns 1 and 2 this time by, as Miles is already up to second as he's around Ryan Wilson off turn number 2. Down the back, Miles will tuck in right between Wilson and Baker as the 38 car remains side by side with Stapleton into turn number 3. And as Wilson goes high, here comes Miles with a huge run on the inside, trying to get a run off Baker before Baker comes to block off of 4, as that will allow Baker to maintain the lead coming to lap number 3, with Stapleton now up to 3rd. Continuing down the front stretch, Miles briefly peeks his nose to the inside of Baker, but into turn number 1, this time around he looks to the inside, the 20 car coming down right in front of Stapleton, but unfortunately just did not have enough momentum as he continued down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Wilson and Stapleton are once again side by side for 3rd, with Salmon and Stout side by side for 4th behind them, with Brady Carruthers, Jose Angel, Chris Murray, and Hoodlum now appearing inside this picture as well. And much like last time by, Wilson goes high into turns 3 and 4, as this time around he'll lose ground to both Stapleton and Stout. Coming to lap number 4, your top 3 of Baker, Miles, and Stapleton remain the same, as now Stout is trying to get around Stapleton for 3rd. Here comes another big run from Miles into turn number 2, but once again was just not able to make it stick, as he remains once again behind the 20, with Stout and Stapleton still side by side for 3rd. As you continue down the back straight, we can get good visualization of just how bumpy this track is, and just how rough this track surface is to these tires. And as Staple and Wilson are once again side by side, way down to the inside, here comes Brady Carruthers and Chris Murray making it 3 wide, coming to lap number 5 this time by. On board of Ryan Wilson as he remains 3 wide going into turn number 1, as Stapleton lost a lot of ground into turn number 1, while the inside subsequently gained a lot of ground, with Wilson now side by side with Carruthers and now Murray off turn number 2. Down the back straightaway, Wilson will tuck into the inside in front of Stapleton as his top three now consists of Baker, Miles, and Stout going into turn number 3. With Miles once again peeking nose to the inside of Baker. This time he'll make it stick as we're going to be side by side for the lead. And seemingly at the exact same time, here comes Carruthers to the inside of Stout as those two drivers will be side by side for third as we come to lap number 6 with Baker barely edging up Miles to the line. Baker and Miles remain side by side, but going into turn number 1, we Owen Miles clearing Baker for the lead, with Baker falling back on the outside as here's Carruthers with a huge run on the inside. And as Miles continues to maintain the lead down the back straightaway, Carruthers and Baker are side by side for second, where Murray and Stout are now side by side for fourth. Through turns 3 and 4, you see Brendan Beal make his way inside this picture, making it 3 wide on Stapleton and Wilson, as the latter once again loses ground on the outside. Off on turn number 4, the same could also be said for Jordan Stout, as now Brendan Beal is going to be side by side with him, as now Carruthers is going to be side by side for the lead with Miles coming to lap number 7. Behind this top 2 is going to be Murray and Baker side by side for third, as Miles and Carruthers remain side by side into turn number 1, with the 19 getting another strong run to the inside as you clear Owen Miles off for turn number 2. Down the back straightaway, both Miles and Baker maintain their ground on the outside as they continue to fight back against the 19 and 87. And looking towards the middle of the pack, you can see some faces making their way up towards the front of the field, including Jordan Caldwell and Jordan Forbes, alongside Roberto Crown Jr. and Keisha Arterson. Moving back up to the front, here comes Chris Murray, forcing it 3 wide for the lead as him and Carruthers dare make contact alongside Carruthers and Miles as these two remain 3 wide, coming back to lap number 8 with Carruthers barely leading that time by. Of course, Murray's on that coveted inside lane, which gets great runs in these corners when we get a good run into turn number 1 this time, but looks like he will. Chris Murray to the lead here in California as Carruthers and especially Owen Miles lose ground on the outside. Here comes Beal making it side by side of Carruthers for second as Daniel Rice behind those two makes it 3 wide down the back straightaway, forcing Baker to the middle and Miles to the outside. Into turns 3 and 4 this time by as Carruthers continues to lose ground on the outside with Miles making it 3 wide alongside Kellen Baker as Miles and Baker make contact, sending Carruthers at the wall and Baker spinning. And as Baker spins, Carruthers also spins as well in front of Keisha Arterson, Jose Angel, and many other drivers as they're under caution here in California. And you can see the heavy damage to Keisha Richardson's car alongside Jose Angel. Dan Mateo was involved in that as well in the 17. Matthew Burnett for the second race in a row. See the damage on Brandon Carruthers as well. I think Random J also got damage from that as well, as Patrick Miller's car has heavy front end and rear end damage. Now, I do have to say that these drivers were definitely getting very, very aggressive, especially towards the front of the pack, even though we weren't even 10 laps done at this race yet, let alone halfway. And that wreck was just sort of a byproduct of that aggressive racing. Meanwhile, that top by Chris Murray, 87 was the leader, followed by the 37 of Brendan Beal, the 43 of Daniel Rice, pole sitter Kyle Salmon, the 71 in 4th, while Owen Miles, who managed to survive that scuffle with Carruthers and Baker, will round off the rest of the top 5. And as you can see, pretty much everyone is coming on pit road this time by, which virtually eliminates any need of a green flag pit stop cycle that we would have saw if this race stayed green towards the latter part of this race. And again, you can pretty much see virtually the entire field making their way through this long pit road, as now everyone's making their way inside their pit stall, starting across McTrain into 91. Rose, Hernandez, Joe T, Crown, Beal, and now Chris Murray, as it appears that the common consensus between all these drivers and teams is going to be 2 tires and gas. I'm surprised these guys didn't go with 4 tires, considering how bumpy this surface is. But 2 tires is the call, as both Murray and Beal are already done with their pit stops, followed quickly by Crown, Hernandez, and Rose. The race off pit road being Chris Murray winning the race off pit road, followed by Kyle Salmon, Brendan Beal, Jordan Stout, and Roberto Crown, running off the rest of the top 5. But anyways, we'll take a look at the instant replay to see what caused our first caution here in California. So I'll just start going into turns 3 and 4. Watch the 19 of Brendan Carruthers on the middle of your screen as he is side by side of Brendan Beal for second place. So into 3 here, Beal gets a run to the inside, forcing Carruthers to the outside. All of a sudden comes Miles in the middle, forcing it 3 wide on Carruthers as he makes contact with Baker, who in return makes contact with Carruthers, sending the 19 around alongside the 20. And even though Baker was able to get it back going, Carruthers went around again, right in front of Keisha Richardson, which is pretty much on from there. A lot of these guys having absolutely nowhere to go. Matt Teal and Jose Angel alongside Miller getting the worst of that exchange. Taking a look at this from another angle here, and you can see Baker coming up on Miles off of 4, running the 25 out of room, which results in this contact here between Miles and Carruthers, sending Carruthers around alongside Baker of Baker's car, essentially doing a 360 until coming back around, but Carruthers made contact with him again as Baker got that car back going, sending the 19 around. As I said, it was just on from there. And I can see in front, Jordan Stout, Ryan Wilson, Hodom, and Roberto Crown all doing a great job of avoiding this. And then it comes to 24 Keith Sharonshift, basically absolutely nowhere to go, with Rose barely avoiding Richardson, but Dan Mateo on the 17, his affiliate teammate wasn't so lucky. With Jose Angel, Brado's teammate Jordan Caldwell also getting involved in this. Jordan Forbes also getting damaged. And you can see more cars behind these guys getting damaged as well, like Random J getting some damage. Daniel Voyle is going up in the air alongside Patrick Miller and Matthew Burnett. Jason Albert at 80 looks like, I believe, just barely missed it alongside Nick Sant of 40. Holy crap. That was very, very close for Nick Sant there. Let's go on board with Owen Miles. So Miles had a run. Miles was maintaining his line, but Baker was the one that ran Miles out of room, which in return caused Carruthers and Baker to go around. On board of Keith Sharonshift for a brand new split camera. So again, Richardson basically got nowhere to go, but it goes Matt TL. Oh my goodness! Richardson got some decent air time there and another decent look there. As for the second race in a row, it's going to be game over for Keyshawn Richardson. And finally on board of Nick Sant. So as the wreck happens, he was well behind it. But then as everyone in front of him slows down, there was only so much room to actually negotiate, and he did a great job of negotiating the room he had. Incredible miss there for the 40 of Nick Sant. Anyways, under caution for the first time here today in the Father's Day Classic, as we'll be right back with you guys after this. Welcome back to the John Deere Father's Day Classic here in Southern California. We're about to go back green after a multi-car incident in the front straightaway that ended up spawning from three-wide racing gone wrong. Currently, these three drivers are out of the race. Patrick Moore in the 33, Dan Mateo in the 17, and the 24, Keith Sharonshift, with other drivers such as Brandon Carruthers, Kellen Baker, Matthew Burnett, Jose Angel, and others receiving some sort of damage from the wreck. Now, during the break, there was another driver that went down to the garage and called it quits for the day that was unrelated to the incident. And that driver is the 91 of Ross McTrain, as got a replay in the right-hand corner. So off of 4, just before PSO officials say 1 to go, McTrain pulls into pit road for some sort of mechanical issue that we're still trying to figure out, and eventually into his pit stall, which calls it quits for the day. Now, before this happened, McTrain is running in the 14th position, and it is worth noting they did not get any damage whatsoever during a lap 8 incident. Anyways, as for your current top 3, the 87 of Chris Murray leads, followed by pole sitter Kyle Salmon and the 37 of Brendan Beal. And as the pace truck heads back down pit road, it's time for another edition of Palm Summer League Crank It Up here from Southern California. It's lap number 17 or 30 here in the John Deere Father's Day Classic in California. We're just past halfway. And up front, most of the leaders have all settled down. With Jordan down the 11 car, now your new leader, followed by Kyle Salmon in the 71, Roberto crowned in the 21, Caleb Rose in the 59, while Chris Murray falls down to 5th. As off of 4 behind Murray, we're 3 wide once again. This time with Johnny Hernandez on the outside, Beal in the middle, and the 88 car Fulham on the inside as we come to lap number 18 this time by. Ryan Wilson, Joe T also up in this mix as well. As back up front, here comes Salmon looking to the inside of Stout for the lead. We're once again side by side for the lead in the 1 with Salmon have the advantage over Jordan Stout. In addition, off turn number 2, Caleb Rose move up to 3rd as he got around Roberto Crown. As that 21 will now be side by side of Murray down the back straightaway. As Salmon and Stout remain side by side, continuing into turn number 3. Now, usually we see the inside always get fantastic runs going into these corners, but this time around, Stout still maintains his ground on the outside as these two remain side by side off of turn number 4 and coming to complete lap number 18 this time by. Roughly 2 laps ago, this field was mostly calmed down, but you see everyone, even towards the back of the pack, is once again side by side like they were earlier. Which, speaking of which, Salmon finally gets around Stout for the lead going into turn number 2, as now here's Rose side by side with Stout for 2nd. We know a little bit further back to see Hernandez and Beal side by side for, I believe, the 7th position, with Hoodlum tucking right behind the 37 going into turn number 3, as Rose gets a great run on the inside as he'll continue to be side by side with Stout for 2nd. As well, in the 4 this time by, Stout gets very loose on the outside, and because of that, he loses a lot of ground to not only Rose, but also to potentially both Murray and Crown, as Rose now is going to be side by side with Salmon for the lead coming to lap number 20. Continuing down the front into turn number 1, these two remain side by side, with Rose having a slight advantage over Salmon, so Salmon gets a little bit loose going into turn number 2. And even though Salmon didn't get nearly as loose as Stout earlier, Salmon still lost significant track position and the lead. Speaking of track position, let's take a look at some of the drivers a little bit further back in the field. See the 44 Matthew Burnett, Jose Angel in the 79, Brendan Carter's in the 19, all of heavy damage well off the pace, whereas Daniel Bolos, who got less damage from that wreck, is still somewhat keeping up with the rest of the field. Same goes for said for Kellen Baker, Random J, Jordan Caldwell, and Jordan Flores also got damage from that. There's the Owen Miles up there as well, who also played a factor in that wreck on lap number 8. But going back to Forbes and Caldwell briefly, it's actually pretty disappointing to see the top 2 finishers from the summer kickoff running not only below the top 20, but also getting damage from the aforementioned wreck. And as we come to less than 10 laps to go, barring any miracles, it's likely that those 2 are going to stay below the top 20. But as for all the other drivers in front of Owen Miles that's currently inside this top 20, every single one of them got pretty much no damage at all from the wreck, including Nick Sand, the 20, the 49 Dylan Matthews, alongside Bradley Reim and the 4 Trey Smith, who have basically been non-factors at this entire day. You know, as for guys like Ryan Wilson, Nathan Stapleton, and Daniel Rice, who are all inside the top 5 at one point during this race, are in danger of losing this top 15 as we come to less than 9 laps to go. But for drivers like Alex Mullen in the 1, the 99 of Joe T, and the 41 of Mopar, I haven't really said too much about them today, but are making their way up towards the front at the perfect time. Into 2 now, we're 4 wide with Stout way up high at the outside, and Hoodlum threading the needle in front of his own father Fernandez and Alex Mullen, as that could have definitely been a disaster there, as he remains side by side with Stout, continuing down the back straightaway. We know back in front is actually going to be Kyle Salmon still leading the way into 71, as you got a replay on how he defended the spot over Rose. So this is going into 4. Salmon got back to the inside after he got loose down the back, and then into turn number 4 here, he looks to the inside of the 59, getting that fantastic run going into the corner, and was able to keep up with that momentum off of turn number 4 to take the lead away from Rose. Here comes Crown side by side of Rose for 2nd, going into turn number 1. With Crown on that coveted inside the lane as we're on board the 21 here. And it looked like there he's actually going to clear Rose for 2nd, but off for turn number 2, Rose gets a strong run to the outside as him and Crown remain side by side. As we continue down the back, Brendan Beal back inside this picture in the 37. Could he possibly make it 3 wide as he gets a strong run to the inside going into turn number 3, as it looked like he was going to go 3 wide there, but instead stays behind the 21. Off of 4, Beal gets another strong run to the inside alongside his teammate of Lipsy, who moves up to 5th, while the 2 Hernandez drivers of Murray and Hoodlum are side by side for 6, coming to 7 laps to go. Crown still trying to get around Rose for 2nd, but into turn number 1, Crown gets another great run to the inside, this time by clearing Rose for 2nd, as now Rose will be side by side of his teammate Brendan Beal for 3rd. And with Lipsy continuing to gain on his teammates down the back straightaway, it's going to make it 3 out of the 4 Railfin drivers who are not only inside this top 5, but also have a chance for 3rd. In the 4, Rose goes wide on the outside, opening the door for his teammate Beal to take 3rd. Meanwhile, here comes Hoodlum side by side of Flipsy for 5th, as he tries to break this Railfan train apart, coming to 6 laps to go. Meanwhile, the other Hernandez drivers aren't too far away from this action as well, as Murray is side by side of Alex Mullen for 7th, while Johnny Hernandez is side by side of Jordan Stepp behind those two, with their other car, the 43 of Daniel Rice, also not being too far behind as well. And as for the lone Railfan driver who's not inside this top 10, that being the team owner of Bradley Reim, as he's currently side by side of Ryan Wilson for the 13th position, while the 99 of Joe T wraps up the rest of the top 15. Back towards the front into turn number 4, but once again 3 wide, this time with Lipsy in the middle, his teammate of Rose on the outside and Mullen on the inside, as this battle for 5th place continues, coming back to the line with 5 laps to go, with Mullen having the slight advantage that time by. But that's not stopping these drivers from going 3 wide, continuing down the front and into turn number 1, as Mullen will maintain his advantage over the 2 Dodges as we move up to 5th. And as Mullen comes off turn number 2, makes his way down the back straightaway as he looks to join this potentially 5-car race for the win here in these closing laps. Into 3, here comes Hoodlum looking to the inside of Beal. This 88 car has come to life these past 3 laps or so, as Hoodlum will now move up to 3rd, coming to 4 laps to go as we're now 3 wide for 9th. This time around it's going to be Murray on the outside, Stout in the middle, and Stapleton on the inside before Stout into turn number 1 comes down in front of the 97. Into 2, here's Hoodlum side by side of Crowd for 2nd. And despite Hoodlum being on the outside off of 2, Crown gets a strong run coming down the back straightaway as these two continue to be side by side. In the 3, Crown maintains 2nd for now, but with Hoodlum still on the inside, he could potentially get a great run going into turn number 4, as here he comes once again. And as we've seen all day throughout this entire race, you get strong runs off these corners on the inside, but as Hoodlum and Crown remain side by side, coming to 3 laps to go, time is quickly running out for any of these drivers to catch up to Salomon. Behind this top 3, Brendan Beal in that 37 closes back in. Will he possibly be factor for these 2 is in the 1. Crown gets loose a little bit on the outside, allowing Hoodlum to have the advantage into turn number 2 until finally clearing Crown down the back straightaway. And now it's just down to 1 car left in Hoodlum's sights. Can he catch up to Salomon and pass him for the win? In the 4, here comes Beal side by side with Crown for 3rd, as Hoodlum gets a strong run off for turn number 4, as he is able to gain a ton of time on Salomon this time by, but time is still running out with only 2 laps to go. On board of Kyle Salomon. Last time by, Hoodlum was just a little over 2/10 of a second behind, but that 88 car continues to slowly but steadily inch closer to that 71, as we're now down to our final lap and a half. Down the back and into 3, that gap has slowly but steadily continued to close, but both Salomon and Hoodlum have to hit their marks for these final 6 corners. Off of 4 is going to be another strong run from Hoodlum, coming back to the front straightaway, this time by white flags in the air, 1 lap to go here in California. That time by, the gap was exactly a 10th of a second, as into turn number 1, here comes another strong run from Hoodlum. And into turn number 2, there Hoodlum lost a little bit of time with Salomon, but this race is still far from over as we continue down the back straightaway for the final time. Hoodlum's got to get a strong run here going into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, as Hoodlum goes to the outside, gets a little bit loose as he lost significant time there. And despite a strong run from Hoodlum off turn number 4 that time by, is not going to be enough as he approaches the checkered flag. Kyle Salomon wins the Father's Day Classic here in California. Congratulations to Kyle Salomon and RC Motorsports. They are your winners of the day here for the John Deere Father's Day Classic. This is now RC Motorsports' 2nd win here in Fontana after winning with Danny McTrain in 2021 during the Spring Showdown, but also Kyle Salmon's first ever Random J Series win after racing since the Street Stocks. So it's definitely been a long time coming here for Salmon in the Random J Series, as there's contact between Rose and Stout after the fact. Not really sure what that is all about, But yeah, what a hell of a drive for Kyle Salmon in that 71 team here today. Won the pole, led the most laps, stayed up front for virtually the entire day, and held off a hard-charging former champion. Definitely, again, great effort for that team here today. Definitely a big congratulations to them. But anyways, let's take a look at the finishing results and point standings after today's race. So here we go. Kyle Salmon finishes first here today. As previously mentioned, he not only won the pole, but also led the most laps of 14 laps. So Salmon nearly led half this race, all coming from green flag laps. And in addition as well, if Salmon leading the most laps, he gets maximum bonus points here today, which is definitely very, very important in a series this short. Finishing second here today is the 2021 Summer Series champion of Fulham. Great effort for the 88 team all day, especially towards those final 5 laps or so. I really feel like Coupe had a great shot of winning this race if he had a better last lap. Result for Roberto crowned in the 21 here today as he finishes third. Brendan Beal in the 37, who was also up front for virtually the entire day, finishes fourth, while Alex Bowen in the 1 car rounds off the rest of the top 5. Meanwhile, Lipsy finishes 6th in the 9 car, while his Railfan teammate of Caleb Rose finishes 7th. So 3 out of the 4 Railfan drivers are finished inside the top 10 here today, so definitely great effort for that race team here today. Meanwhile, in 8th is the second straight top 10 for Johnny Hernandez in the 46 team, where Jordan Stout is not only the highest Toyota, but also the highest Aero Atlanta car as she finishes 9th here today. And right after the rest of the top 10 is another Toyota, this time being the 99 of Joe T, who, much like Hernandez, gets another top 10 here in the Palm Summer League. And now for the point standings after race number 2. We're halfway done here in the 2023 Palm Summer League. And these point standings do a really good job of just showing how exciting mini-series like the HWRL and so far the PSL have been. With Hoodlum currently as your points leader, but only by 2 points, as second place currently has a 3-leg tie between Daniel Rice, Joe T, and Johnny Hernandez. And for our next race being a super speedway, this could easily change after the Firecracker 400. Meanwhile, Brendan Beal is currently 5th in points, bound by 3, where Jordan Flores and Owen Miles are currently tied for 6th, bound by 4. Jordan Stout in 8th is behind by 5, while Kyle Salmon, of course, won here today, is at the top 10 in points, up to 9th, bound by 7, where Alex Mullen in the 1 car rounds off the rest of the top 10, behind only by 8 points. Now, even if you look outside of the top 10 in points, just kind of reinforces my point of how exciting these mini-series are, as Jordan Caldwell and Jason Albert are currently tied for 11th, but they're only behind by 8 points, so they're well within striking distance of the points lead, again, especially as our next race is a super speedway race. Meanwhile, same goes said from Mopar is currently 13th, only behind by 9, and it's not until we get to Caleb Rose, who's 14th in points, bound by 12, when we start seeing double-digit numbers, as he's actually tied with his Railfan affiliate, Nathan Stapleton in 97, who's also behind by 12, while Ryan Wilson, the reigning GSS champion, is bound by 14, Brad Reim in 17 is bound by 18, Chris Murray in 87 car is bound by 19, is actually tied with Nick's hand for that, as Roberto Crown rounds off the rest of the top 20 in points, ironically behind by 20 points. So even though these guys are below the top 10 in points, they still very well have a striking distance of taking over the points lead after the Firecracker 400. And speaking of which, our next race, race number 3, is indeed the summer's biggest race, the Firecracker 400 from the Daytona International Speedway. But before the Firecracker, we have a whole week worth of racing action, starting on Wednesday with practice sessions for both the Firecracker 400 and the Coke Zero Showdown. Then after that, on Friday night, will be the new WeatherTech duels to set the field for the Firecracker 400. And these races will award points for both the drivers who lead the most laps in each duel, as well as the top 2 finishers of each duel race. And again, that'll be on Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Then on Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the renamed Coke Zero Showdown, of our biggest showdown field to date. And of course, on Tuesday, on the 4th of July itself, at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, will be the summer's biggest race, the Firecracker 400. And the race length may be a little bit shorter, and it may be with a different series, but it's still the same old Firecracker we all know and love. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching this race. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a happy Father's Day.